Nithyananda. Welcome to all the participants, viewers that are joining us through various different social media platforms. Welcome to each and every single one of you. Let's enter into the session. Let's do it. Nithyanandam Paramasukadam
Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasadrisham Tattvamasyaadhilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam
Sadgurum
Tam Namami.
Today we are going to explore into a very, very interesting subject. We're going to be learning about the journey of the preservation of the manuscripts, the ancient palm-leaf scriptures of Hindus. KAILASA's Nithyananda Hindu Library, which is established by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, proudly has the world's largest collection on Hinduism. Swamiji beautifully puts it, books and deities made in Hindu. Now let's understand a little deeper about the source scriptures of Hinduism. The Hindu scriptures are the most unadulterated and maintained as purely as it was uttered, revealed in the beginning. The Vedas are as it is from the time Paramashiva breathed it into Parashakti, and from Parashakti to Vishnu, from Vishnu to Brahma, and then the Guru Parampara. And these Vedas are the ultimate superior authority for Hindus. It's like the Vedas are the pure science, Agamas are the applied science. So the Agamas contain what all are the do's and don'ts, like basically for lifestyle, the guidelines for the lifestyle. Now, what we are going to be looking into today is what happened to these grand source scriptures of Hinduism and how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Swamiji, has been working tirelessly and collected large amounts of these scriptures and today preserving them and made it available to humanity.
And as all of you are aware, right? Everyone, I'm sure every viewer would have by now been knowing the amount of the number of scriptures that Hinduism is always known for. But did you know, today, if you had, as a Hindu, if you wanted to really know about what exactly is in Rig Veda, where will you go? You will probably go Google search for Rig Veda translation. What will you get? Some commentary of an American historian, commentary of a British scholar who's adept in Sanskrit, commentary of some university which is located in Western countries doing research on these Vedas. As a Hindu, how will you know which has the most authentic translation? The most unfortunate part of it is today, even if a Hindu wants to access the authentic scriptures, he or she is left with no ways of to verify which is right, which is authentic, and which is not. Today, Hindus have only a Max Mullerian translation, only a Western translation of Hindu scriptures, a Hindu scripture which is translated by someone who is from a Western country, who is from a different civilization, different culture, who would, the problem is not that they're from a different culture, but the problem is that they would have never had the experience of what Hinduism is. In Hinduism, scriptures are always given the highest state of, they're given the highest reverence and respect and regard. That is why there's a term, beautiful term called Grantha Samadhi. Like the picture you all see behind us.
Actually, the picture that you all are seeing right now is the picture of all the palm leaf manuscripts, mainly containing the Vedas and Agamas, have been stacked up and worshipped as deity. This is personally worshipped by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Where these are all the main Agamas and Vedas. Their palm leaf manuscripts have been taken and preserved and been worshipped as Grantha Samadhi. All scriptural books, palm leaf documents, which are kept in one room and maintained, is a Grantha Samadhi. This is one of the most important samadhis that has kept our Sanatana Hindu Dharma alive. And Grantha Samadhi means energy center of spiritual books. Understand, Hinduism boasts the most advanced knowledge in almost every single field. Be it science, be it mathematics, be it yoga, be it health, Ayurveda, be it astronomy, astrology, every field, we have the best knowledge. And these knowledge, the roots of all these knowledge have been sown by the seeds of Vedas. Every nook and corner of today's world is either consciously or unconsciously following the remnants of the Vedas that are barely left after the brutal destruction due to the bloody legacy of imperialism through unending brutality over the last few centuries. Is a harsh memory to be buried and forgotten from history. However, the remaining of the scriptures gave birth to areas of study, progress, and expression that are as relevant today for human advancement as they were few hundreds of thousands of years ago. Understand, the revelations in Hinduism we can see from so many different scientists and even the great philosophers and scientists have always received the inspiration from our source scriptures.
And we have so many references for this. How just one of the scriptures, Bhagavad Gita alone, has been an inspiration for so many scientists. And we even have so many quotes from scientists like Albert Einstein and so many different people who have read these scriptures and that has inspired them to go ahead into research in a particular field. So, from time immemorial, Hindu scriptures have always been source for abundant knowledge, intelligence, and high-end philosophy thinking, which helps train the thinking into excellence and far beyond that. There's a beautiful quote by Colonel James Todd from the British East India Company. He says, where else can we look for sages like those whose systems of philosophy were prototypes to those whose works like Plato, Thales, Pythagoras were disciples of? Where do I find astronomers whose knowledge of planetary systems yet excites wonder in Europe, as well as the architects and sculptors whose work claim our admiration, and the musicians who could make mind oscillate from joy to sorrow, from tears to smile, with a change of moods in varied intonations? Every time our history, our legacy has always astonished people, have always astonished scholars, left them at the loss of words to describe what we can do.
And this is from William James. He says, from Vedas, we learn a practical art of surgery, medicine, music, house building, under which mechanized art is included. The encyclopedia of every aspect of life, culture, religion, science, ethics, law, cosmology, and meteorology. And he is the first educator to offer psychology course in the US. And here, this is Robert Oppenheimer, and he is a theoretical physicist and professor at the physics of physics at the University of California. He says access to Vedas is the greatest privilege this century may claim over all previous centuries. And this is Niels Bohr, who gave that lot of contribution about the atomic Bohr's atomic structure, which we all would have learned it in our high school, or the quantum theory, etc. And he says, I go to the Upanishad to ask questions. What does it all mean? We always see that our Hindu scriptures is a treasure of all kinds of advanced knowledge. But unfortunately, we do not have access to all of this. Come on, each of us as Hindus, how many of us even knew about the sciences it has? Except for Swamiji, except for us now coming, meeting Swamiji and from Swamiji receiving it, except for that, as a normal Hindu, just go look around. Did you even know the word called Agama before? Understand? These Vedas are extremely old. And just for example, like Vedas are divided into four: the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda. And just if you take in the Rig Veda, that is further divided into, it was earlier first divided into 21 branches, and then Yajur Veda was divided into 100 branches. After that, the Sama Veda is divided into 1000 branches. Atharva Veda was divided into 9 branches. And apart from this, 18 types of Puranas are there. And Yajur Veda contains 100 branches. And all of these, just if you take the major of the shakas alone, if you take, now you can see how many are there. Each Veda has 4 subdivisions. Samhita, this contains the most ancient layer of the text in Vedas. And this is directly applicable to the Brahmacharya Ashrama. Next is Brahmana. So whatever has been learned in the Samhita during the Brahmacharya stage, put in the practical usage. And then if you see next is Aranyaka. This is containing all the knowledge about the philosophical rituals. And next is the Upanishads. Now, let's just take a look at this. Out of 1131 shakas, only 13 are available, which is less than 1%. Less than 1% is only available.
You all can actually see the chart here. You can see the elaborate subsects of each scripture that we have. This is just one section. This is just under the Vedas. What are all the categories we have?
And that only the major ones that have been taken. This is without including any of the further commentaries or any of those things.
And this is just one section. We have like these commentaries on the Vedas, and then we have the commentary of the commentary. We have so many things that are there, which does not even fall under these categories, but which still fits under the larger umbrella of scriptures of Hinduism. Now, amongst all of these, almost 70% of our scriptures have been destroyed. Today, if you have to access, let's say, Aranyaka, only 6 of them are available. Upanishads, out of 1131, only 108 are available. And Sutra Grantha, out of only 43 are available out of the thousands that are there.
And we need to know, we do not even know how many Anukramanikas are there, how many Pratishakyas are there. Out of all that is there, only 20% of the scriptures are left.
Mahabharata war was nothing but destroying, eliminating mass destructive weapons, warfares under the controlled condition, under the direct supervision of Sri Krishna, greatest incarnation. The purpose of Krishna's incarnation was that. Of course, there are multiple reasons. This was one of the main purposes. Like this, every time for various reasons, incarnations happen. Now it is time Sanatana Hindu Dharma cosmic constitution needs spiritual legitimacy, social legitimacy, economic legitimacy, cultural legitimacy, judicial legitimacy, and ultimately political legitimacy. Unfortunately, Hinduism has started losing all the legitimacy. Finally, understand, during Mahabharata, we had 56 nations, 200 states, 1,700 provinces practicing Hinduism as a state religion. Veda, Agama, Dharma, Shastras, Shruti, Smriti was a basic constitution, code of conduct, constitution for 56 nations, 200 states and 1,700 provinces during the Mahabharata time. Last 2,000 years, due to continuous persecution, terrorist attacks, brutal attacks, one by one, we lost all the territories, all the 56 nations, 200 states and 1,700 provinces. The last nation Hinduism lost was Nepal in 2007. Because Hinduism lost political legitimacy, all the scriptures have started getting destroyed, eliminated. There is not a single place where the original scriptures of Sanatana Hindu Dharma can be stored. The Mattakkalap in Sri Lanka, the library was burnt for I don't know how many days. The library burning from Nalanda to Sri Lanka and destroying Hindu scriptures is continuing. 200 years before, Hinduism had 10 crore, 100 million source books. Now we have only 2 million, 20 crore left, 80 crore, 8 million is gone. Nalanda library was burning for 6 months. I don't know, Mattakkalappu or Colombo. Recently, the latest library burning was done in Mattakkalappu or Colombo. The largest Shaivite library was burned. I don't know how many days it was burning. The library burning makes Hinduism lose literary legitimacy. We lost literary legitimacy. There is not a single country where Hindu education system is legitimate. Jaffna library was burned. 97,000 manuscripts, which was one of the biggest in Asia, was burned in 1981, June 1st.
The most important thing that we need to cognize over here is these phenomenal scriptures that has knowledge of everything. Whether it, like for example, Ayurveda, the oldest school of medicine known to mankind, and which is also one of the biggest contributions of Veda to the world. It has solutions for almost every single disease, and this was done 2,500 years before. Charaka Samhita is the father of medicine, and it is through Shushruta, the very concept of plastic surgery even came to the world. Understand the kind of gifts that these ancient scriptures have gifted to humanity is mind-blowing.
And to this day, scientists are benefiting, and not just scientists, humanity is benefiting from various of these profound findings that our Hindu ancestors have gifted to humanity. Every one of you that are here, did you know what our ancestors have found? What our ancestors, the Hindu rishis, have revealed to the world? To this day, so many scientists are conducting studies on it to understand, and they are finding the deeper and deeper meanings of each of this. How many of us would have even known about how our enlightened masters like Charaka, Shushruta, Aryabhatta, so many of them have contributed. Like example, you all can see here the discovery of atom. The famous English chemist John Dalton, who's now credited with the development of atomic theory. Here, the reference to atomic theory, the term anu, paramanu, subatomic particles, everything is elaborately revealed by centuries ago by Acharya Rishi Kanad, who speculated the existence of small indestructible particles, which he termed as anu, and paramanu, subatomic particles. Each of these are referred to in our Vedas, in our Puranas. Another example is Varahamihira. Varahamihira was a learned scholar, enlightened master, and he was a great scientist. And he predicted the presence of water on Mars. The book he revealed had a very elaborate, detailed description of planet Mars. And he said in his book that the planet Mars has both water and iron present on its surface, which now has been revealed by NASA and ISRO both. Like this, there are so many to go on telling.
And all of us know, how do we know gravity? We all remember an apple that fell on Newton's head, and that's how the world came to know about gravity. Did you all know that much before, way before Newton, our ancient rishis have had the knowledge about gravity? All the universal law of gravitation. The whole thing that we all know about was known to us way ahead of him by Varahamihira. Varahamihira has very clearly written in his ancient scriptures about how there is a force that exists which keeps, like which acts between two bodies based on its mass. And he also clearly tells how Earth has gravity. And also, not just Earth, he also speaks about all the other planets that have gravity and how they're attracted. Understand, all these things are from our Vedas, our every scripture. So the scriptures from Hinduism, understand, we had 100 million source scriptures. Today, we are on 80% of it is destroyed. Only 20% is remaining. And even in the 20%, we do not have access to everything. I'll ask you a question. We all know what Charaka Samhita, we also mentioned it a few minutes ago. Do you think we even have access to the original source scripture of Charaka Samhita? We don't. The Charaka Samhita book, the original copy is not even available to us Hindus. It's there in a museum, to which we do not have access to. Understand, lot of phenomenal advanced knowledge that our ancestors had discovered, whatever Paramashiva had revealed, all of these are contained in these source scriptures of Hinduism. 80 million source scriptures were destroyed. Only 20% is remaining with us. And even out of the 20%, very, very limited amount, extremely limited amount is what we have access to. And from that, These are just few, not even tip of the iceberg, whatever we are sharing with all of you. Even Brahmagupta had also explained about how bodies fall towards earth based on gravity.
Similarly, we even have Aryabhatta. Aryabhatta was an enlightened master, a Vedic astronomer, who discovered zero, which completely turned the fate of mathematics, which is a foundation of mathematics, without which today so many things that we are using mathematics for would have literally been impossible. And apart from this, he has several phenomenal contributions, like the curvature of Earth, as well as the fact that it rotates on its own axis around the sun, the heliocentric theory. The mathematical genius Aryabhattacharya also made predictions of the solar and lunar eclipses, the duration of days, as well as distance between celestial bodies of Earth and Moon. Imagine what amount of intelligence did our rishis need to have. To this day, the Panchang, the almanac calendars that our rishis wrote, is still being used. Hundreds of years before, they were able to predict on which day tsunami will come, on which day, what is the auspicious time, what will happen, which is good, which is bad, which is a right season, when it will be rainy, when it will be sunny. They were able to predict everything. How? Each of this stands a testimony of how advanced we were, and along with it stands how rich, how literate, how educated we must have been. There's a very common misconception in many of the people that colonization left us civilized. But did you know, just the 56 Hindu nations, the Akhanda Bharat, alone contributed to more than 60% of the global GDP. This was not just age old. Even up until the time of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, we contributed to 40% of global GDP. So even after Mughal invasions, we were still contributing one of the highest percentage of GDP. 40%. Before the Mughal invasion, it was 60%, a whopping 60%, and we covered only 3% of the world's landmass. How was it possible? It is because of this education that we were given. After colonization, we were left to contributing to a crippling 3% of the global GDP. So what do you call civilized? What do you call educated? After being looted so much, still there's so much of glory and legacy to talk about of Hinduism. So if this culture, if this religion has been able to produce so many geniuses, if this religion has been able to produce so many advanced architectures, if this civilization has been able to produce so many scientists who have done phenomenal contribution in the field of science, physics, chemistry, biology, and so many different subjects, would you call them uncivilized? Would you call them illiterate? Understand, this is also part of the larger propaganda of the Hindu music forces, the people who do not want to let Hinduism thrive and survive. There's a very popular quote by T.B. Macaulay, who says, "A single shelf of the English library is worth the entire Indian, which is Hindu, and the African knowledge, the Europe knowledge put together." He says just one single shelf of the English library is literally the whole Hindu knowledge put together. That is what they thought of Hindu knowledge. We have a quote by Winston Churchill, who thought Hindus were just beastly people who breed like rabbits. And each of these quotes are available. You can just search on the internet. Now, today's entire modern education system is set up by a person like Macaulay, who believed Hindus were beastly people. So what would you be taught about Hinduism? All of these are tightly knit into this larger propaganda of erasing Hinduism, making Hindus feel ashamed of being Hindus,
and understand. Now, from here, how did all these lost scriptures get revived? Many of these scriptures, even the 20% that are surviving, are not available, but a huge amount of them have been saved. And the KAILASA Nithyananda Hindu University has the world's largest collection of these Hindu scriptures. How did this happen? What was the work that went behind this? Stay tuned. Tomorrow at the same time, we are going to be sharing about this to all of you.
And in conclusion, as we are about to conclude this, we just wanted to share with every one of you today, even if knowing all this information, or even if these little bit of information is available to you, you will not even know what is the exact right source to believe in. You will not know which is the source to access. Let alone access, you will not even, these are not even available to us. For a common man, for a common Hindu like you and me, if you're in a normal world especially, you will not even be able to access, if not for the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, who has restored and revived this, who out of his sheer hard work has the world's largest collection of manuscripts, the world's largest collection of Hindu texts.
And has made it available completely free of cost for humanity. And if you feel inspired by this cause, take a moment and sign up now. The link is projected on your screen. You can go to sksjp.org and put your intention to be a part of this mission. And we'll be sharing further information and the details about the hard work. How were these palm leaf scriptures identified? And what condition they were found in? And how they have been revived, repaired, and brought to life, made it available to humanity. Thank you so much for tuning in. And with this, we're coming to the conclusion of the session. Thank you.